following program contains language and subject matter that you may consider unsuitable for children. Parental discretion is advised.
Greetings, Earthling. His Highness the Jackal.
The Jackal.
I'm going to pass the reins to Mr. Jackal, the new king of radio.
I think Jackal's Latino. I'm not sure, but he'll give it to you good.
The Jackal.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Inside the Jackal's Head right here live on that good old PSN radio, SoFlo Radio, and all over the YouTubers. That's right. Right now, as you can see, my beautiful mug right here, and next to me, equally as handsome with a beard that is just, it's what inspired me, by the way, to grow my beard. I'm not going to lie. My good friend of a long time now here from PSN, Cancel the Cabal Zone, Steven Roberts. How you doing, buddy? Look at that beauty.
Who, man? This isn't him. This is Be Less White, leader of the KKK in Michigan for Trump.
Be less white. That beard couldn't be more white if you tried.
Like
how you doing these days, brother? How you doing these days?
Good. I look like a grandmaster of the KKK, don't I?
Slightly. If one day you're like, by the way, Angel, I was the Grand Wizard, I'd be like, well, you know, he was a good guy to me.
I've never even met anybody from the KKK.
For the audience who hasn't heard you now, we kid because we talk, on a daily basis, you and me. And Cancel the Cabal. Give my listeners who are rejoining my show after a long hiatus, as my good friend California guy Daryl would say. Give the audience a quick rundown of your show, because you have an awesome way to do your show. Plus, you produce for a bunch of other folks. So,
yes, I do. I produce for. Well, he's not on PSN yet. Hopefully, he will join us. But Monday on a different network, I produce for Luca Mino. He had you on his podcast a couple months back. And Tuesday is my show, 4 to 7 Eastern. And Wednesday, I'm on from 4 to 5. I'm sorry, 3 to 4 Eastern with Roger Landry. That's the Eagles Nest.
You put in the work, brother. You put in that work.
Well, it's not as much as I used to when I first started doing this in 2013 when I met you and the other groups.
It's been a minute.
You and the other groups. I was doing 5 nights a week.
Yeah.
2 hours a night, 5 nights a week. And it finally got too much. I just, wow. Doing 2 hours, producing 2 hours, and then making videos for 2 hours. And then, well, it wasn't 2 hours making the videos, but it was a half hour, 45 minutes to make the video, render it, put it up on YouTube, share it to 50 or 60, 70 groups or more.
Mm-hmm.
Another 2 or 3 hours trying to do that. It got to be like a job.
Yeah. And the worst part is, just when you think you're getting somewhere on YouTube, you post something they don't like and they take it all away from you and they cancel your account. They did that to me several times, by the way. I had one account that had like 19,000 followers for one of the PSN accounts. Mm-hmm. And we're monetized. And then one of the shows on the network, this is a few years back, they got a little fancy with the words, like political stuff. And I told them, yeah, you might want to chill with that because I already got one violation strike. And they did it again. And then the whole channel was taken down. And I had to start from scratch. And I was like, damn it.
Well, I had my original channel since 2009, and I ended up posting 2 or 3 things, and it got 2 strikes right about 2014. And I said, okay, I better make a second channel. So I did. And that lasted all the way up until about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, probably about 2 years ago, 2022, when all of the jabbing the jabbing the shoulder stuff, the stuff you can't say on YouTube.
Yeah. The stuff that came at warp speed.
Yeah. Then I got 3 strikes right in a row, and that original. The second channel was gone, so I had to go back to the original channel. I don't even post stuff up on YouTube anymore. I just use Rumble. Haven't had any problem with it.
Yeah, nowadays I think most of our kind, the deplorables, as Hillary calls us, uh, are making our way over to Rumble. Now, with that being said, you saw like Trump in the coverage that his latest 2 outings have caused, the one in Jersey and the one in the Bronx here. I played that clip earlier in the music earlier because everybody's like all hyped up. Will New York flip red? And what do you think?
Um, I think they're going to have a fight. But you know what caused all this ruckus over there in New York and everywhere? They caused it themselves.
Yeah.
With that mugshot. That mugshot just turned people on.
Oh yeah. Well, not only that, look, New Yorkers for the most part, whether you're liberal or conservative or whatever, they can smell the BS. And when you're taking this guy to court, and this is a guy they've known for 40 years, right? Maybe longer.
Mhm.
They know what he's about. They see the charges. They see it on TV. I mean, it's BS. It smells from a mile away. I mean, this couldn't be more clear election rigging. And I think this is why the common New Yorker are like, you know what? They're treating him for no reason because what?
They
They
seen
don't
that,
like him?
they seen that mugshot, and man, they all just thought that was gay. They thought that was some
What-
gangster shit.
That mugshot did make him like a martyr, didn't it?
Yeah, of course it did. Um, you People are following along now a lot more than what they ever did in politics, especially New York. New Yorkers had some kind of a gripe. Well, they never had a problem with Trump until he uh, ran for president.
Yeah, spot
If
on.
he'd have been a Democrat, they'd have been in love with him, like they always were.
No, remember, Trump was on Oprah during the 90s a bunch of times. She loved him. She even said, "You should run for president."
Mm-hmm.
He was on the Maury Povich show a
Yeah,
bunch of times. He was,
very.
yeah. I mean, the Eminem had him endorse him during one of his, early albums in something early 2000s. And the joke was that Eminem was running for president, right? And he did a whole little like skit on MTV. Eminem, Marshall Mathers, and he had Trump come out and endorse Marshall Mathers for president on MTV, and it was a gag. And then you see Eminem, when Trump won, come out with that silly rap song and make an ass clown out of himself. Uh, I mean, it's so obvious that some of these people are sold out to like the radical left. But now we're starting to see even rappers starting to come around. Like there are a couple of rappers that showed up at the rally. You saw that. 50 Cent has endorsed Trump. Uh,
Ice
let me see.
Cube.
Ice Cube
Yep.
endorsed Trump. Mr. NWA himself.
Mhm.
I mean, it's starting to swing. There's a lot of rappers that are swinging the other way. I wonder when Eminem is going to be like, you know what? I messed up.
Oh, Snoop is even coming around. Did you hear about
Yeah.
that?
Yep. Which is ironic and funny because I never understood why Snoop had beef with Trump. Remember, he was at the Trump roast, and not only that, there's pictures of them holding hands, giving tabs,
Well,
the whole brother thing. You're like,
he was
how do
just
you then hate on the guy? Like,
he was just playing the role as the liberal. He has to play the liberal role because that's what he is, and they have to play a role for the cameras. What he really thinks, I don't know if it's coming out right now or not, but look at Bill Maher. He's kind of supporting Trump. He's not slamming Trump as much as what he was when he was president. He is slamming Biden more now than what he ever slammed Trump.
It's funny you bring up Bill Maher. I think
Bill Maher is also slamming this grooming agenda, this trans crap.
Mm-hmm.
Lack of a
I think Bill Maher is on the edge of endorsing Trump, but his puppet masters and the people that write for him, because he's not real. Maybe once upon a time in Hollywood, he might have had some real material, but now he has his writers.
He was a writer for comics himself. He did.
Yeah, but that was the 90s.
No, that was back in the 70s and 80s. I'm talking about.
Wow.
He did a lot of writing for comedians. He did some stand up, but he wasn't as popular of a stand up as what he was a writer. He was in big demand.
I could see that because I see in some of his stand up and it's not that funny.
But it's 40 years old.
yeah. And I'm not trying to hate on the guy because we don't endorse the same guy. It's just not that.
He's a classic liberal. I don't think he's won any of this Marxist agenda. What it is Marxism, it's leftism, and I don't think he likes it really.
I don't think he likes it, but at the same time, I think he doesn't want to lose that base, the radical base that follows his dumb show.
I caught a video today. He was saying something. He was criticizing somebody. I don't remember what it was, and I should have saved it. I should have sent it to some people. But he says, "What do I have to do? Turn my liberal card in?" And everybody laughed. I mean, it's true though. A lot of these people can't be standing. They really can't be liking this agenda.
No, not at all. Now, I do have a clip I wanted to get and play here, and you know exactly the one I'm talking about is the Ted Cruz that took down the Biden judge at the court in Congress, and this was an epic takedown. I want the audience to listen to this, and then I want to get your take on it. So let's play this real quick.
Well, Judge Netburn, I want to continue on this line of questioning. In your court, what matters more, the rights of individuals or your political ideology?
I apply the law to the facts.
I asked a question, which matters more?
Well, my political ideology doesn't matter at all.
Okay, so I don't believe you. And I think this case demonstrates that you are willing to subjugate the rights of individuals to satisfy your political ideology. This case involves a male defendant who raped a 9-year-old boy. Was he guilty of that?
Yes, the petitioner pled guilty to that.
Okay, so he raped a 9-year-old boy. He also raped a 17-year-old girl. Was he guilty of that?
He pled guilty. The petitioner pled guilty to that crime as well.
So was he guilty?
I hope so, because she pled guilty to it.
He was a he when he did this.
That's correct.
And also criminal deviant conduct, which the record doesn't disclose what that was exactly. Then, after serving in prison, Mr. McClain was released for parole, but then violated the terms of parole by having internet and was sent back to prison. 1 year after being released again, he was convicted of having child pornography. Is that correct?
I'm unclear on exactly the time frame that you're at, but the petitioner was convicted of distributing child pornography.
Child pornography that was images of adults violently raping children.
Abhorrent conduct.
Okay.
For which there are real victims.
And this individual, 6'2", biologically a man. A minute ago you said that when this man decided that he was a she, you said this individual was, quote, I wrote it down, sober and entirely a female. That phrase struck me as remarkable. Did this individual have male genitalia?
I think what I said, or at least what
that is a verbatim quote, entirely a female.
Sorry, what I meant to say was hormonally a female.
Okay, but that's not entirely. Did this individual have male genitalia?
Yes.
So you took a 6'2" serial rapist, serial child rapist with male genitalia, and he said, you know, I'd like to be in a women's prison. And your answer was, that sounds great to me. Let me ask you something. The other women in that prison, do they have any rights?
Is that a question you're
yes,
asking me?
The other women in that prison, do they have any rights?
Of course.
Do they have the right not to have a 6'2" man who is a repeat serial rapist put in as their cellmate?
Senator Cruz, I considered the facts presented to me, and I reached a decision based on what the law
I asked
is.
you a question. Do they have a right not to have a 6'2" man who is a serial rapist put in as their cellmate? Do those women have a right to that?
Every person who's incarcerated has the right to be safe in their space.
But you didn't think so. You didn't think so. And in fact, I'm going to give some quotes from your order because Senator Kennedy is right. This is not a judge's order. This is a political activist. By the way, the beginning of your order says, at birth, people are typically assigned a gender. I got to say that would astonish a lot of Americans. A lot of Americans think you go to the hospital, a baby is born, and congratulations, you have a little boy, a little girl. The assigned a gender, I know you went to Brown, but it sounds like it's in a college faculty lounge with no bearing on reality. The Bureau of Prison argued what I'm saying right now, that if you put this person in a female prison, there will be a risk of sexual assault to the women. And you know what you did? You said you didn't care about the women. I'm going to quote what you wrote. You wrote, quote, the Bureau of Prisons claim penological interest in protecting female prisoners from sexual violence and trauma. This interest is legitimate, that's kind of you to say, but there are no signs that petitioner is at risk of reoffending. The record is devoid of evidence of incidents of violence or assault during petitioner's incarceration when she was the perpetrator, only the victim. A theoretical risk of sexual assault by the prisoner without more cannot support the BOP's position. No evidence, theoretical. Have you dealt, in what universe is someone who is a serial repeat child rapist not at a risk of reoffending?
Senator, as I do in every case.
I know you've been told to repeat the line, I follow the law. I asked a question. In what universe is someone who is a serial repeat child rapist not at risk of reoffending?
Sir, I looked at the facts that were before me in this case. All of the evidence, including the statements of every warden who had supervised this petitioner.
You also wrote, the BOP also posits that permitting petitioner to live among women will be traumatizing and possibly dangerous to them. This concern is overblown. I have to say, if I were the father of one of those women, and you decided that my daughter's cellmate was going to be a 6'2" man who over and over and over again committed violent sexual assault, I would say the entire justice system is absurd, and it is clear on your record your political ideology matters a heck of a lot more than the rights of those women that you endangered. I think you're a radical, and I think you have no business being a judge.
Judge Netburn, there was an opportunity during your exchange with Senator Cruz that you were attempting to offer a response relative to the conditions under which this petitioner was unsafe in the facilities in which she was being held. I'd like to offer you the opportunity to finish that response.
So the facts that were presented to me and what I relied on to make my decision were that the petitioner had engaged in no violence, no physical violence, no acts of sexual violence whatsoever while in custody. All three wardens who supervised the petitioner requested that she be transferred to a women's facility because of her serious medical needs. In addition, the Bureau of Prisons' longtime medical provider testified at a 2-day hearing in my courtroom and recommended that the petitioner be transferred because of her serious medical needs. And the last thing I'll say is that the Transgender Executive Council, which is the body that makes decisions on behalf of transgender transfer requests within the Bureau of Prisons, never said that the petitioner could not be transferred, and never, ever said that she couldn't be transferred because of any risk of violence. What the Transgender Executive Council repeatedly said in denying the request was simply that she needed to maintain her hormone levels. That was the repeated justification for the denial of transfer. But the petitioner had reached full female hormone levels before even being incarcerated. At the time, the district judge in Indiana who sentenced the petitioner requested that she be placed in a women's facility. Her hormones were entirely female at that point, and so the decision by the Transgender Executive Council to deny the transfer request based on this idea that it was only because her hormones needed to be consistent and stabilized, I found was a pretext, but they never once said she cannot be transferred because of violence. It was always based on this idea that her hormones had to be.
Thank you, Judge Netburn. Senator
Judge
Padilla.
Netburn, that's
Senator
directly
Padilla,
contrary to what your
Senator,
report
you all
said.
have
That is
had
directly
No.
We're going to follow up, and that's how it works.
There is not.
That is exactly how it works.
Look,
if you follow up, you didn't get extra time, and she just directly contradicted her own report. I'm just going to read her own words because it's exactly the opposite of what she said. Your own report.
Senators, I gave both of you more time to finish your line of questioning. I allowed the witness to finish her. I allowed the witness to finish her response. I allowed the witness to finish her response. That is,
I understand that you're scared of the facts.
I have
Senator Padilla. Madam Chair,
open up testimony,
and then she has an obligation to explain why she directly contradicted what she wrote in her report. She says in her report, the Bureau of Prisons' claimed penological interest is in protecting female prisoners from sexual violence and trauma. She just told you the Bureau of Prisons didn't say there was a concern about sexual violence and trauma. Those are directly contradictory, and why are you contradicting what you wrote in your report?
And what are you trying to hide?
I believe I have the floor.
No, wait, point of order.
Senator Padilla. Senator Padilla.
Are you going to let her answer that question?
Senator
or you don't want her to answer that question?
Senator
You're
Padilla.
Very much, Madam Chair.
Senator
afraid of the answer to that
question.
Cover-up.
Are you afraid of the answer to that question?
Senator Padilla.
So yes, you are afraid of the answer to that question.
Senator Padilla.
Clearly you're afraid of the answer to that question.
Oh, man. That clip is so damn funny, man. The guy's like 6'2", 6'3", right? Probably has a really manly bass voice. Like, yeah, I'm a woman now, and I want to be put in a woman's prison. You see, while smoking a big old cigar. And they actually, this judge put this fella in a woman's prison, and you know, like. You have to laugh at some of this shit at some point, right? So that's Senator Ted Cruz, who, again, opened a can of verbal whoop ass as he unleashed on this woman. And her name is Judge Sarah Netburn. And it's a great last name because she got burned by Ted Cruz.
I am surprised that a bunch of the women in that prison just didn't gang up on him and beat the holy living crap out of him.
I mean, how do you defend that, really?
Well, you can't if you have morals. If you don't have morals, you try to doublespeak, deflect, deny. You know, oddly enough, deflect and deny starts with a D.
Truer words have never been spoken. Oh man! And I also find it funny that Democrats' logo is a jackass. You ever find that funny?
Yeah, but they somewhere way back in America's past, they also picked the elephant, which is that tub of lard for the Republicans.
Well, I'm not touching now with a 20-foot pole, but one thing about the elephant, they never forget.
Yeah.
And that's going to bode really well come November because all those Republicans out there, they're not going to forget the last 4 years of Joe Biden.
Independents. All those independents that voted for Democrat for years and years and years.
Mm-hmm.
They're still capitalists too.
Oh yeah, at heart, yeah. And I'm telling you, a lot of minorities, Latinos, it's and especially in Miami, Florida, and really all over Florida, Latinos down here are going to vote mostly Trump and Republican. Some down, the ballot. That's just kind of looking and playing with that beard. Some just down the ballot Republican because this is red country now, which it was blue while Obama was president, but we got to flip it back. And look, he might be a DeSanctimonious, but I will give him credit. Ron DeSantis has been a good governor. I did not like that he decided to run against Trump. I thought that was a bad move. And clearly, he might act like mini Trump, but he's not Trump, and yet has to wait his turn. So I didn't like that, but he has done a good job as governor, and keeping this state red is mucho importante.
Mm-hmm.
It really is.
Well, Miami probably gives Florida the fits the most, trying to stay red.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't it? It's like the island, New York, Manhattan, Bronx, all of the other boroughs. They make New York blue. A lot of the other parts of the state only has 30% of the population, 25 or whatever it is. It's like Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Grand Rapids, Lansing, and Detroit keep Michigan blue.
Yeah.
All the rest is red.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
That's where all of the people are in those three
cities. It's the swing counties really that does the most damage in those areas. Same thing happened in Georgia. I mean, Georgia's mostly a red state for the most part, but then you have the Fulton County and those areas that are
in Michigan too.
Huh?
It was stolen in Michigan. It was stolen in Arizona. It was stolen.
Oh yeah. I mean, remember the water burst that happened 2 blocks away, and somehow, we got to shut the doors early.
It's dangerous water.
Oh my God! It could kill us all. It's a water spill in the bathroom. Shut the doors. Call the National Guards.
There's a water in the bar. It's dangerous.
That's it. A pipe burst. We can't count votes. What the hell was one thing I'd do with the other? Get some. Are the Mario Brothers available? Get some plumbers out here. Fix this shit. Continue counting. I mean, do you really need to go and shut? Right there. I think we should have known. All right, they're gonna.
Look at all the videos and saying that the counting teams said they're going to close up, and then they boarded up the windows so nobody could video and see.
Yeah.
Brought in boxes afterwards.
Yeah. No, the best ones were the Republican counters that were not allowed to go in, and you see the cops outside saying, "No, you can't go in." They're like, "But we're supposed to be in there counting votes." Well, no. See, this is what happens.
They're observers. Yeah.
Yeah. So, in other words, only Democrats got to see the votes inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, very partisan or bipartisan, not there.
How about
That's called, yeah, it's called bipartisan light.
yeah. How about all the videos in 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2020 of just pick a liberal pundit or Hillary herself. Yeah, my election was stolen. It was stolen by Trump. Trump's an illegitimate president. And then come 2020, oh no, that's all legitimate.
Yeah, and we can never forget that not only has she, made those comments, but she's never stopped making comments about how illegitimate of a president he was. But remember that one fat woman with the gap teeth, Stacey Abrams?
Okay.
She ran and lost, I think, twice,
Yep.
if I'm not mistaken,
The
in
prosecutor,
in
right?
in Atlanta, right? And I think she even ran. Was it for governor against Governor Kemp in Georgia?
Mm-hmm.
And she never conceded until this day. She still says, "Yeah, they rigged the election." Nobody takes her to court, and she's been like saying for years that it was stolen, and I want people to recount it. I want to find my votes that were stolen from me. But yet, nobody's taking her to court and try to like put her in jail for trying to overturn an election.
Yep.
By the way, her sister's a judge in Georgia.
Of course she is. I don't. I'm just sticking on Trump, anyways.
But man, that audio clip of Joe Biden it's a beautiful thing.
I mean, the case is already falling. Oh, you wonder where it says we can only re-elect Donald Trump? Is that the one you're saying?
That's a beautiful thing. There's so many of them. The one I was talking about earlier that I just came back to mind, where he's talking about, yeah, I love it when black kids they go up my leg and they start counting the hairs on my legs.
When I'm in the pool, or
Yeah,
I'm the and they're really blonde, and the kids run their fingers through my leg hair. Yeah.
I like when kids jump on my lap.
I bet hair an old bastard.
When he is officially out of office, which will be the best thing for the country. But for comedians and comedy wise, it's going to be the Great Depression because there's so much that we take from this guy. And it makes me want to get back into stand up comedy. It really does. And, you can do a whole segment, a 20-minute piece easily, 30-minute piece just on making fun of Joe Biden. And that's with as little as this dude comes out and says anything. Because he's never really out there, like, and when he is, it's like, teleprompter over here, and teleprompter over here, and pause. Got to say the word pause. This is the only man who reads like the teleprompter. When it says pause, he reads pause. Like,
how about when he looks into the camera and goes, dumps all over himself. Man. Just, he was walking somewhere, I don't know, walking to a plane or something, or walking to a car, whatever it was, and he stopped. The reporter asked him a question, and he went, dumped all over himself. Just come out the back end, too. It just, video shows it. It's funny as hell.
well, I think he wears diapers at this point.
Fills them up and it comes out the top.
I love the one clip where he's like walking and then you see like he starts like jogging a little bit and the reporters are like outside asking him and he's like, my butt's been wiped.
Yeah.
And we're like,
we didn't ask you that.
Where the hell did that come from? We're talking about Afghanistan. They cleaned the well. Like, what? This motherfucker.
How about somebody paid for a billboard? Have you seen this one? It's Jill Biden. The caption says on the billboard, "For the love of God, he thinks his name is Brandon."
Yeah, they're like, please stop. He actually thinks his name is
Brandon.
That and the Christmas call. I don't know if you saw that one. Where the dude called, and it was a prank call, obviously, and they were taking live calls. Jill and Joe. This is a very smart idea, right? And the guy's like, "Let's go, Brandon," and then Joe's like, "That's right, let's go, Brandon."
I think that was 2022 Christmas or something.
Yeah. The best part is you can see Joe Biden's face when she's like, and she catches on what just happened, and she's like, Jesus, like, Jesus. Like I said, for comedy purposes alone, I'm gonna miss the man. But the policies have been bad, Stephen. Been bad, man.
Yeah, but the jokes will live on YouTube forever, though.
It's funny because a few years back, the big show was Orange is the New Black. I think Trump is orange, right? And that's why he's getting the black and Latino supporters, and he's been martyred basically to like my peoples because I'm Latino, and Joe Biden is like grandfather Count Dracula. Like this guy is a fart away from like just not only just pooping on himself, but flatlining. Like I get one more step up the escalator there to Air Force One, and he might slip and lights out for good, Joe. Like. I love the photo ops that they put the man in, like when he's like riding the bicycle. It's like, why would you do that to this man? Like, and then of course he's gonna fall on cue. Like, come on, Secret Service, do your job, baby. What are you doing?
I'm surprised he doesn't have one of those seats, one of those escalator seats that goes up for the old people upstairs. So he goes Air Force One. You sit in the seats and push a button.
This is the first president that's actually fallen asleep at UN meetings and fallen asleep like in veterans like some memorials and looks at his watch. When you can't pay attention. And then like I love how the media and Stephen, I know you know this, how like they took one little like part of like weeks and weeks of like court and rallies and running around of Trump like dozing off on one of the trials, and they're like, he can't stay awake, he's falling asleep. And the drama queens on CNN and MSNBC or BC bullshit. I mean, it's crazy.
How about some of the other queens on The View? They've been canceled. They've lost all their viewership. They got nobody watching anymore. Their history.
I mean, the only reason the spew stays on the is because they got Whoopi Goldberg, and of course, she's one of the biggest racists in Hollywood. And again, let's take
whale.
Well, besides, she's ballooned over the years. I want her to be nice, but yeah, she's categorically she could, but she could be in, Splash Mountain, and if she jumps in the ocean, she could cause a tsunami. That's all I'm saying. Bitch is big. If she was like on a Deuce Bigelow movie, you would hear somebody say, "Keep it in the circus," or "That's a huge bitch." It'll be one of those. But where I'm going at is, let's take a look and go back on memory lane here, Stephen. Remember when Trump was on The View several times?
Many times, yeah.
Remember? And I
Oh,
went
Georgia.
to sit next to Joy Behar.
They loved him until he became candidate.
Yeah. Once he beat Hillary and took her out and saves us from the misery.
Yeah.
Because that would have been bad. And if you follow the narrative, and I've talked about this on the show, before I went on my hiatus, um, after Obama Nation, Hillary was supposed to be the next incarnation of evil.
Well, she was
it was
close. We were supposed to have had COVID in 2017, 2016, 2017.
Yeah.
I read Klaus Schwab's book, The Great Reset.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got a friend. He didn't take a screenshot, but he said it was on the World Economic Forum's website at one time that Klaus Schwab wrote that book in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And they put it off for 4 years, and it come out a month after COVID hit here in the U.S. COVID hit here in March of 2020.
Yeah.
And it come out like June, like within 6 to 8 weeks. How do you write a book and edit it, rewrite it, re-edit it, rewrite it, and re-edit it inside of 6 weeks?
That's a lot of work.
You don't do it. Nobody ever has.
Take it from somebody who's almost done with his first book. This guy right here.
Yeah.
It's not easy work. But not only that, you got to remember during the COVID debacle, we caught Chinese nationals in a certain person that was a teacher at a university, and they had some of the virus back in November of I want to say 2019. And
let's go back
November on there.
Let's go back even further than that. Angel, I almost called you something else.
As long as you don't call me late for dinner whenever we're at a barbecue, we're good.
I've talked to many people between August through October.
Yeah.
Everyone in my family had some dry cough we couldn't get rid of. No congestion. It was dry cough. I think they were testing some of the technology, some of the 5G technology. But also in August of 2019, the Army sent some people over for training exercises to Wuhan. I don't remember what it was now, but somebody can look it up. You can search up if you want. U.S. Army goes to Wuhan, August 2019. They come back and things start happening really, really quickly after that. There was like 300 or 400 Army personnel that went over there.
Yeah, and jumping a couple of months later, when Trump was becoming aware of what was going on through the people that feed him the information at the White House. I think it was in January when he started talking about it publicly and shutting down airports and stuff. And let's not forget, and I know the media doesn't want to talk about it, but it was Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and all these liberals. They immediately started saying, "Oh, he's a xenophobe.
Yeah.
There's something wrong in Chinatown. Come out to Chinatown and party like it's 1999."
The China flu.
Yeah, the China bug.
China bug, yeah. Why are you calling it the China flu? Because it came from China.
See, that's what I love about Trump. He's like so honest. He's like,
one of the reporters. Yeah, one of the reporters asked him, "Why are you calling that the China flu?" Because it comes from China.
If it came from Connecticut, I'd be the Canadian, the Connecticut bug, Connecticut flu. If it comes from Canada, I'd be like, is that Canadian bacon flu? Like, Comes from Mexico. It's the beans and Mexican flu. Like,
Beans and rice.
whatever. Yeah, the beans and rice flu. It's the arroz con pollo flu. Oh, man. We missed that. See, at least Trump is like sarcastically funny. Like Joe Biden is like, oh man, we might see this guy die at some point here on video. Funny, like you don't want to laugh because he's an old senile man, but he kind of want to laugh because he's also very evil and he kind of still knows. I think what's happening. I mean, how do you?
Well, how about you?
How do you think? How much do you think he still knows?
Well, I wonder. A lot of us are even actually wonder if it's him and not some actor. He can't put 5 coherent words together in a sentence.
True
but
that.
You get he gets in front of Congress at the State of the Union, and he's flawless. How do you do that? He's reading from the same teleprompter when he's at anything, and he still stumbles like a bumbling fool.
Yeah. And again, remember, he says words like pause when he's just about to pause. And he's got that finger on the nukes, right? Like, oh man,
like he believes in the thing.
Yeah, you know the thing. You know the thing. There's a song about that. Yeah.
The thing.
A lot of the judges also, and this is something that I've always had kind of an issue with. If you notice, a lot of the judges that he appoints have a hard time figuring out if a man is a man, a woman is a woman. Have they forgot what the thing looks like? Is that like, like we individually have different things.
Part of the agenda. That's all part of the agenda. They're all child molesters. They want our children. That's what it is.
But shouldn't that be part of the requirement if you're going to be appointed like any major office within government or any judge? That you should know. Yeah, a male has a penis. The boy has a penis and the girl has a vagina. That's from Kindergarten Cop, the movie. If that little kid can get it right, why can't these doctors and lawyers and people appointed to like political office get it right? Like it's that simple. Like it's not hard.
It's all about indoctrinating the children. You see, they know that the people born before 1960, we're really sick. We're going to be. I mean, old people are going to be dying, and we're going to be dying. They're trying to get to the children now for their voting base and their indoctrination.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, and it's scary because of stuff like the reading with the drag queens in school, and there's so much just.
Did you ever?
Children should not be exposed to. Sorry, go ahead.
Did you ever read 1984?
Oh, a long time ago, yeah. And we're not talking about Wonder Woman 1984, by the way, for the geeks watching.
Yeah. No. Not H.G. Wells. I never forgot his name. Anyways, Orwell, George Orwell.
Oh, George Orwell, yeah.
Yeah. In the book and in the movies too, they have the phrase, "We're at war with East Oceania," but then they turn right back around and say, "We've never been at war with East Oceania."
Mm-hmm.
It's all about their doublespeak. Orwell's book. They took the children at an early age and they started indoctrinating, and they turned them against the family. There was a young boy that turned in the main character. His name was Winston.
Mm-hmm.
He turned him in, or he was spying on him. He wanted to turn him in, but it was actually somebody else that turned Winston in, his girlfriend. It's all about their narrative. They have to keep that lie going, no matter how big of a lie it is. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Joseph Goebbels and Adolf Hitler said, if you repeat a lie enough times, it becomes the truth.
And that's, remember, Nancy Pelosi almost quoted that with a wrap-up smear.
Yeah.
Remember that? That's pretty much, that's a Marxist agenda, and that's exactly what it is. And if you want to look any further, look at Trump's cases. He's beaten Stormy Daniels in court before. It's proven that it's a lie. It's proven that Michael Cohen lied, and they're still bringing a case that he's won back from the dead to relitigate it again.
How about that picture going around? I think I passed it today. Maybe I didn't. I don't. 30 years ago, Bill Clinton paid off, or somebody paid that woman $800,000. 30 some odd years ago to keep her mouth shut.
Which was that? The Paula Jones or something like that her name was?
I think it was her. 800,000. You know, but you don't have to pay attention to that, though, Angel.
No. Well, remember, if you recall, Stephen, these Democrats didn't believe that Bill Clinton was a dirty old birdie until the DNA was found on Monica Lewinsky's dress, and kind of proved that, yeah, he squirts.
Yeah.
He's a squirter.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that.
The story was back then, early 90s, 92, 94, whatever the case was. Bill Clinton had come out and said, Hillary hasn't touched me in 17 years. You know, I mean, everybody knew she's a lesbian back then, and she still is today.
Well, I think the way that went down, he said something like, my wife, Hillary, my wife, she really does have a bigger penis than me, and Chelsea is really not my daughter. All the cocaine over the years with Roger, my brother, it's not allowing me to have kids. But my wife, Hillary, definitely has a big penis. End quote. I think it went something like that. I'm just saying. You know.
Yeah.
Pretty good, Bill Clinton. Huh? The best line Bill Clinton ever said was, "I did not have sexual relations with that woman." And then speed up a few weeks later.
Well,
I lied. I did have sexual relations with that woman.
You know what the case was? I heard somebody explain that one time. There was, like in 18th century, back in the 1700s, a English dictionary that he was using that sexual relations. When he said, I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Monica Lewinsky. How dare you, you right-wing conspiracy theorist. You're just trying to attack me. But he was actually going by that 18th century definition of sexual relations.
Well, I think the thing was, and you know the thing, the whole thing was they didn't consider blowjobs, I guess, as part of the sexual relations.
Not bad.
So it was like, you mean I can get my thing put in the mouth of anybody, and it's not sexual relations? Oh, Hillary, jackpot, baby.
Well, you do know that Chelsea is so ugly that getting head from her is considered anal.
Ooh. Oh man, I don't even want to touch that with a 25-foot pole, to be honest with you. Which is kind of like Bill Clinton in bed with Hillary. Yeah, I don't want to touch her with a 20-foot pole. Yeah, like Bill Clinton missed his calling in life. He should have been like an Elvis impersonator in like Vegas. Yeah, baby. Roger Clinton could have been like the twin brother that died at birth.
Elvis's twin brother didn't die at birth. He had
Oh
twin.
yeah. You don't know that Elvis had a twin brother. Aaron was going to be the name. That's why they named him Elvis Aaron Presley. And it was. I'm not even kidding. And the brother was a stillborn baby.
Hmm.
Yeah. You gotta look that up. I'm not making that. Imagine if there would have been two Elvis Presleys running around.
Yeah.
Two kings, baby. That
Well,
would
I
have
mean,
been
sure
incredible.
they had doubles for everybody.
True. They still do today. I wonder
Yeah.
if some of the stuff that, or some of the times I should say that we see Biden out there, if it's really him or a double at this point, because there is times where like he's like, "I'm Joe Biden," and I'm fully alert, and then sometimes he's like, I'm about to like go to the hospice and lay
Uh-huh.
down. And he's about to die on camera. So I wonder like which is which. Now Trump did say that he was going to debate him, but the one thing he asked for, Joe Biden had like a list of Rolodex of things he demanded to agree to a debate. But the one thing that Trump asked for was for let's take a P test and to see if somebody's on drugs. And of course Joe Biden was like, see, he's just trying to wiggle his way out of the debate. Wait a second, Mr. 355 demands
Oh man.
compared to one? Come
Mhm.
on, Joe, you know the thing.
Yeah.
Uh, this is like, and this is going back also, Steve. This is like when Joe Biden came out and criticized Trump when he was early in office and said any president who runs his cabinet via executive orders is a dictator, man. And
Mhm.
that's after Trump had made like what, like 3 or 4 executive decisions or something like that, or executive orders. And then Biden, in his first month, is like 55 executive orders, and I'm like, wait a second, didn't you say that 3 was excessive and it was like dictator? What the hell are you, Fidel Castro #2? Like with the Hitler 3? What's going on here, Joe?
What do you think about all of the letters that people got? All of the people that were in the first 2 or 3 rows at the Pappy Bush funeral in 2019. You seen those videos?
I seen some, but I can't remember all the names. It's been a long time since I've
What?
seen that video. Do you know
Pretty
who
much.
was at the front row?
Yeah. The Obamas, the
Uh huh.
Bushes, Bush
Yeah.
Juniors,
Yeah.
um, the Cheneys,
Makes
the
sense.
um, Neil Bush, his family. Um, I don't. I'm. I don't. I didn't recognize everybody, but most everybody that's been in the White House the last. The Clintons were there last 35 some odd years. Jimmy Carter, Jimmy and what's her name? Um,
Well, she's gone now.
yeah,
she, she's a goner. And Jimmy's on his way to hell also.
he's 90.
But hey,
He's
uh, it, but he'll go out saying, "At least I wasn't the worst president of all times."
yeah.
That's
That's
Joey
what
Crack
cake.
Biden, baby.
Take the cake. Oh man.
Jimmy Carter's going to go to hell, and it's going to build homes in hell for all the liberals are going to be on their way down there pretty soon. Because like Ruth Gator Ginsburg and all these liberals,
Mm-hmm.
they're getting up there in age, and sadly, old people,
Ginsburg,
they're 90, 80, 90, and they start croaking after a certain age.
Ginsburg died a couple years ago.
Yeah, and the best thing that woman ever did was, see if you know.
The best thing she ever did,
Hmm.
die.
No, yeah, but besides that, she was Supreme Court, right? Like Justice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ruth Gator Ginsburg. And who was the president when she bit the bullet?
Oh yeah, that was Trump.
Right. So by her sticking around and like in her like
Yep.
malign state
They tried.
for as long as she did. And by the way, I think, and I was having this thought in my head earlier. By the way, this is inside the Jackal's head after all. But I was thinking that she was like the first incarnation of like Darth Vader because it just had her like up with the machines keeping her alive for a long time,
What?
but keeping
They
her
tried.
alive is what allowed Trump to put another SCOTUS in there. So
You remember? You must remember the '80s movie Weekend at Bernie's. They tried to keep her alive for that. Wait until Biden gets in. Don't die yet.
well,
Weekend at
now we got Weekend at Bernie's too with Joe Biden.
I thought that was a hilarious movie when it come out. I really did.
I like both of them actually. Both Weekend at Bernie's movies.
Yeah.
It's a shame that they didn't make a trilogy out of that. But how long can you really keep a dead body, looking good? Really,
Well, you keep them on ice for a long time.
They should make one now. Be like, Weekend at Bernie's 40 years later, and the body still looks fantastic. I don't know how it happens.
Yeah.
Like no competition and nothing. Like it look no worms.
Rosalind.
He's still there. Yeah.
That was her name.
Who?
Rosalind Carter, Jimmy's wife.
Ah.
I was trying to
I
get
guess.
her name. I forgot.
Whatever that lady's name was. I'll give him credit for one thing. He opened the door for the Mariel boat lift, and that's how my smug face got to this country. It was a co-venture between him and Ronald Reagan. Reagan approved the final part of it once he became president. But initially, the early negotiations and put into motion was by Jimmy Carter. So I have to give him, props for that. But the little thing that he didn't tell America was when he negotiated with Cuba. He also said, "Okay, Fidel, you can empty out the jail cells and the mental patients and make that the first wave of Cubans that go to America. Send as many as you want from the prisons and the mental hospitals." And Fidel did just that. And this is how my family got here, Stephen. In Cuba, there was lotteries. Okay, like here you have the lotto, right? You play lottery. There is a lottery for the Cuban civilians or citizens that you had to enter to be in the wave that allowed non-prisoners and non-mental patients, right? My mom had, let's just say, connections within some of the federales, the cops in Cuba, and that she got some strings pulled, as the Italians would say, and she managed to put 4 names on a list. And the reason she got that hookup is because some of my uncles and stuff also had the strings pulling, so she managed to kind of like tag along with that. And it was pretty interesting the way the whole thing worked out. But she managed to get myself, my half brother, her and herself here. The fourth and fifth person she was trying to get in was my half sister and her daughter. And to the last minute, the daughter wasn't going to be allowed because she initially put it for 4. And a day before, they said, okay, we'll allow the daughter. So it'll be 5, right? So they gave you the extra ticket. And then my sister said, you know what? We changed our mind. We're not going to go to America. We're going to stay in Cuba. It's not going to be that bad, Ma. And my mom was like, yeah, you're fucking crazy. We're going to Miami. And and she said, last chance, we're going on the boat. And then my sister's like, no, I'm telling your mom it's going to be okay. And my mom looked at us and she's like, kids, just letting you know, your sister is fucking crazy.
They're aren't they?
Huh?
They're still there, right?
No, about a year later, they came to their senses, and the calls became almost regular. Mom, we fucked up. Should go to Miami. Things are getting bad. And my mom was like, "Yeah, you're fucking crazy." Now remember, all this stuff happened in Spanish, by the way. My
Yeah.
mom didn't speak a word of English, and this is from Cuba. But I'm translating it because nobody's gonna understand it if I don't.
Right.
But it was funny from 1982. Well, 1980 when we got to Miami, we went to California. I grew up there for about 5 years, and my sister every day would call us begging to bring it. We're like, yeah, well, you kind of blew that shit. And it wasn't until like I would say 93, that my mom was finally able to bring her to Miami. And my niece, who was a year older than me, by the way, I don't know how that happens. But they brought both of them to Miami, and within about a 4 or 5 year span, they integrated pretty well. My niece went to high school here and all that stuff, and became very ungrateful to my mother for whatever reason. They got into a fight with me and my mother, and I didn't speak to my half sister after we lived with her, after we brought her here. And I even left our bedroom to sleep on the couch in the living room with a little setup, so she could have a good room and my niece could have a good room in the house, because it was a 3 bedroom house, and my mom and dad needed a room. So I slept on the couch in a little setup that we had at our old house in Sweetwater, Florida, and I accommodated them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for all my hard work, for some reason or other, I don't know, they were jealous because I got to come here as a baby and they got stuck in Cuba. I don't know. But they started picking on me and my mom, and they got into some weird fight. And then in, I think it was 1999 or 2000, around there, I got into this big argument. I'm not going to go into it, with my sister and my niece. And long story short, we didn't speak to 2016, me and my sister.
Uh,
So 16 years, and the only reason we spoke was because my mom was sick with cancer, and was
mm-hmm.
wanted to see her kids together. My niece never showed up at the hospital. She never went to visit her grandmother, not once. She didn't go to the funeral. She didn't go to the burial. As far as I know, she's never even gone to like the cemetery to pay her final respects.
Yeah.
Nothing. Which is telling on her part. And this is a granddaughter who her grandmother basically worked for several decades to bring her to Miami, to
Mm-hmm.
bring her out of the communist country that her mom made her stay in,
Yeah.
and messed up her life. Because if she would have been in the right place, she would have grown up with the right environment, with the right education, and she wouldn't be a housewife right now, like, crying her eyes out because she didn't make it in life.
Yeah.
You know?
So she's one of these liberals, huh? Crying baby liberals.
Well, I know she's a moron. I haven't really talked to her. See, when I stopped talking to my niece, I've never talked to her again. So we're now going on 24 years.
Mm.
Okay. And after my mom's passing, I didn't talk to my sister anymore. So it's been since 2016 till now that I've had no communications with her. Like, at some point, you just gotta let stupid people go, even if they're family.
But these people that are pushing this agenda, if they think that communism or Marxism is just so wonderful, why don't they go live in North Korea or Cuba or
Yeah.
China?
Uh-huh.
Or
Because if they ever go there, it's like a visit. So they get a touristy area, and they're like, "Oh, it's so pretty in China. Look at all the nice tourist areas, and look at the agriculture." And deep down, they don't know like what happens with the Falun Gong, the Uyghur Muslims, how the Chinese government kills their own people.
What it means to be a woman over there.
Uh-huh.
You don't have very
So,
life.
or minority like a black citizen in China. Not fun. Not fun. In fact, during the COVID debacle, Steve, I know you know about this. A lot of black citizens in China were dragged out of their apartments and houses by even Chinese police, and they were being blamed for COVID.
Sure.
What?
Yeah.
Oh. I'm not the smartest person in the world, but I don't think all like the black people in China are like, you know what,
Well, look at
let's
all the
and release a bug.
people that they were locking in their apartments.
Hmm?
40 and 50-story apartments. They had 10,000 people in them. They were locking them in. Wouldn't allow them food or water or anything. Wouldn't
Yeah,
allow them out.
that's a fact. And how many of those are no longer alive? We don't know. We don't. They don't release numbers.
They have there's a phrase for them. They have execution vans. A van pulls up and 4 or 5 guys get up and just drag you into the van and
Yeah,
drive away. Where
yeah. No, it's true. And if you think that's outrageous and far fetched, in Cuba we had that, and we still do. It's called El Muro, or funny enough, the wall. you
yeah,
know. And I have an uncle, one of my uncles, and this is when after Fidel had taken over, was shut up and I'm talking about like not vaccinated, like shot in front of the wall. And let's just say he didn't make it to the 80s
hmm
or the 70s, like gone. And he was a young man, and his only crime was he was anti-revolutionist. That's it.
yeah, yeah.
He wasn't in the army. He wasn't with guns. He wasn't fighting. He was verbally, saying that he didn't believe in communism and
Yep.
he was against the revolution. And he was a capitalist. He loved America, and he got shot and killed.
hmm
And there's a lot of us Cubans here in America who have been through that. So for like myself, we've seen that, and this is the fear I have, Stephen, of how easy this could happen in any country, and I'm seeing it happen here. And some of these,
Certainly.
American kids, uh, and especially a lot of these kids with money and families that have had money, take that for granted, and they don't care about the freedoms they have here.
Well, to them, it's not about freedoms. It's about how it makes you feel. Makes you feel good.
Yeah.
If you want to be a woman, you were born a male and you want to be a woman, it makes you feel good. You can be a woman. Or in sports, you don't have to win anymore. You just participate and you get a medal. There's no
Mm.
win anymore. It just makes you feel good.
It's all about feelings.
What's that also called? Where it's been a lot of black women and Latinos. Well, the one Justice Sotomayor, she had terrible grades in college, but yet she graduated as a lawyer. Um, Affirmative action, that's what it is. It's not
Hmm.
about good grades. If it makes you feel good, yeah, okay, you want to be a judge? You don't have to be that smart anymore. This is affirmative action. It makes us feel good.
Yeah, yeah. Affirmative action. I mean, that in its nature is racist. Let's say you're not good enough for a job, so we're just going to give it to you based on the skin color.
Oh,
What?
no, you're too right. Doesn't matter how smart you are or what you know. You're just too right.
See, I personally don't care if the person's white, black, Asian, Jewish, American, whatever. I want the right person for the job that knows what the hell's going on. They could
You
do
know
the
what?
like as a person who has employed people and has been people's boss in the past, you don't go off race, religion, or skin color. You go on the person who's right for the job, and it's not gonna like cost you money or clients.
Well, my parents grew up in the 50s and 60s um, when the revolutions were really going on. They
Hmm.
down in the South. In my area is the halfway between Chicago and Detroit. We had riots in my town in 1967 with the Black Panthers. There's a lot of people still alive that remember that. They're in their 60s and 70s and 80s, and they still remember that stuff. Um, my parents tried to raise me as a bigot. It was always black people this, that, Mexican people that, this people this, that people that. And I hit about the age of 13, and I started to realize that all of these things that they were telling me about these black people and Mexicans, shit wasn't happening. I started thinking for myself, you know.
Sadly enough, we don't have enough kids to just think for themselves. But that's part of the programming of the children today. But my parents were different. My parents, since we were so mixed in my family, from being Cuban, you're automatically
Yep,
from all over the place,
sure.
and there was so much of that in my family that at no point where there's even a spark of racism. My mom's best friend before she passed was a Jamaican woman, a black Jamaican lady named Carol, and she didn't understand half the shit that she said because she spoke broken Jamaican English, right? And here's my mom, a Cuban lady who doesn't speak a word of English. Somehow they're the best of friends. Um, they knew it would, there was a language barrier, but they made like the point of like, this is a banana. This is milk. Like they knew what the shit was happening. They
Not
would go to like, and this is crazy. They would go grocery shopping together. They would hang out. It was the funniest relationship. But that was her best friend for like 10 years.
actually seen movies that had that kind of stuff in there. A man speaking Russian and Englishman just talking to each other. They don't understand each other. It's all about the camaraderie. It's all about the fellowship. That's what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I always loved about this country, Stephen. Is like, we may not all speak the same languages. We may all come from different areas. Like, Trump said it. He was a migrant. I'm a migrant. His wife is an immigrant.
Yep.
We're all immigrants. We all come from different places, right? But then this is a melting pot. And with that said, I'm still for securing our border because I got here because it was signed off by two presidents. But I'm not gonna sit here and be like, yeah, we need to open the borders because that's the right thing to do. No,
You
this
know,
is still our country, and we need to have
I've
a secure border. Period.
I've got a family friend I've known. I don't know, close to 25 years now. He came from Mexico, and he was amnestied in 86, just like you and your family was. He feels the same way. He doesn't like this open border stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of folks like that, man. I tell you, it's and living in where I live, which is mostly Hispanic. You see that a lot, and people are like, "Why are Latinos voting for Trump?" And I'm like, "Cause we're not stupid, eh? We've seen this shit happening before in our countries, and we don't like communism. We've been through this crap. And
Yeah.
if we lose America, where the hell are we gonna go? Right? This is like the land of the free,
He
home of the brave."
he grew he grew up 3 meals a day he had was beans and rice.
Yeah, it's funny, but that's how we eat.
Chicken with beans and rice.
That's what I ate yesterday. It's
Yeah.
amazing. You hit right on the head. And
Uh,
I would have had some of that today if I would have had time to cook. But I just, I made a couple of Jamaican patties, and man, they were good. And look, I've been all over the Caribbean. I've been to Jamaica, Bahamas, Bermudas. I used to sell travel for a while, and I seen how people live in the actual cities, not just the resorts, even though they're great. But I've been to the actual city areas, Stephen, and I tell you, no matter where you go, the same thing everywhere. People just want to live in peace. They just want to smoke their weed. They just
Yep.
want to have happiness.
Yep.
They want to have a family. They don't want war.
Have a nice
This is a
cold beer.
common
Yeah.
theme amongst the regular folks.
Yeah. Have a nice cold beer. Uh,
As long as it's not Bud Light anymore.
right. Oh my God.
Steven, man, look, we're almost at the end of the rope here. I mean, show. Uh, it's been awesome having you on again. Cancer the Cabal, Stephen Roberts. Once again, my brother, thank you for being here. And again, give the audience, before we let you slip off into the midnight in the desert time and the darkness that comes after the unwind, give us the time of your show and, again, any contact stuff that you want to give out.
Well, it's my blog site is cancelthecabal.net that I put all my shows up on, and they go up on. Thanks to you, they go up on. What else they go up on? I forgot now. They go
Well,
up on a
if
couple other platforms.
if you give me the MP3s, which you haven't done in a minute, they go on SoundCloud also for the network. Huh? We just got to get going on the MP3s there, buddy. Yeah.
I'm on Wednesdays. I'm sorry, Tuesdays from 4 to 7 Eastern time, and Wednesday 3 to 4 Eastern time on PSN and SoFlo Radio.
Beautiful. Look, this is 2024. We're coming up to November pretty soon. And you and I have a lot more talking to do, my friend. Stay with that red pill because it's going to get ugly.
Yeah, you know what? About, what is it, 5 more weeks? Be halfway through the year.
Amazing, right?
Yeah.
And in November is creeping up on a come up. And I'm telling you, it's going to be a bloody red map for the Democrats. I'm telling you, this is going to be. I'm not saying it's going to be a landslide because they're going to try to rig as much as possible. You know that, and I know that. But I do think there's going to be so many voters that are going to go out and vote for Trump this year.
Well, I think
it's going to blow them out of the water.
Hopefully there's going to be a lot more law enforcement involved, and they won't allow that kind of stuff to happen.
Yeah, and we don't want violence. But what I do think should happen is whenever some of these people are supposed to be in some of these swing states or counties that are supposed to be in there counting votes, if they don't allow you to go on YouTube Live right then and there, or on Rumble Live right then and there, and post a video. Make sure it gets spread around. Listen, we're not being allowed to go in. They're rigging the election. Just say it.
Have the sheriff bust in.
Hey, if that's the way it's got to be, that's the way it's got to be.
Right.
If your job is to be in there, you have to be in there. And nobody should have the power to stop you from doing your job when you're being told this is what you're going to do for the safety of having a free and fair election. Which we didn't get too much into that, but another thing is we need to stop harvesting votes. We need to make sure that voter ID is, important, and every person has a legitimate voter ID plus a registered voter card. Because I don't want any of these, illegals with fake IDs, going to like heavy blue areas and be like, "Okay, Mr. Juan Gonzalez Smith."
It's not just the illegals. They bus people in every single state all around the districts. And they use up dead people's social securities, and they vote these dead people.
Yeah.
And they've been doing it for 100 years.
Yeah. And to be fair, both sides have done that tactic, but in the last few elections, it's been heavily Democrat, especially in 2020.
Abraham Lincoln and George Washington, they've been voting for years and years. They've been voting first.
Yeah, some of my grandparents voted for them, and they didn't ever been to Cuba or to Miami. Like they died in
Oh,
Cuba, motherfuckers. How they voted in the election here in Florida? How did that happen?
all right, Angel. Thanks for having me on.
Hey man, you're the best, and stay alive, active, COVID free, and we'll have you back on inside the Jackal Den very soon. With that said, everybody have a peaceful evening. Stay well rested. Peace, everybody. Stay safe. And remember, you ain't black unless you vote for Joey Crack. It's a fact, Jack.